Sometimes guess and check can get kind of tricky. Let's look at this polynomial. If I have 6x squared plus 19x plus 10, and we are doing this by guess and check, you would have to find the factors of 6x squared and 10. So you'd have 1x times 6x as an option, or 2x times 3x. For 10, you have 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. So if you are factoring this, you have two options for the first and two options for the second. So it can sometimes take a little bit more time and a little bit more troubles. So there's another method. It's called factor by slide and divide. So if you follow these 5 steps, it's pretty simple. The first step says slide the first coefficient to the end and multiply a times c. What I mean by that is take your 6, slide it to the end, and write times 6. Now your polynomial or your trinomial is x squared plus 19x plus 10. Plus 60. Now it says factor your new trinomial. So now it's an easy one where you just have x and x, and I think what multiplies to be 60 and adds to be 19? So I start looking at my factors of 60. 1 times 60, that's 61. 2 times 30, that's 32. 3 times 20, that's 23. 4 times 15, oh, that's 19. So I would put plus 4 plus 15. Step 3 says divide the number in each factor by a, which is the number that you slid. So because I multiplied by 6, I have to now divide by 6. This is very important that you simplify the fractions. So the first factor is x plus, they're both divisible by 2. So x plus 2/3. And then x plus, they're both divisible by 3, x plus 5 over 2. The last step is slide the denominator in front. Because you don't want a fraction, you kick up the denominator and it becomes 3x plus 2 times 2x plus 5. So then you can check by distribution like what we did in chapter 7. 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3x times 5 is plus 15x. 2 times 2x is plus 4x. And 2 times 5 is plus 10. 15x plus 4x is 19x. So you get 16x squared plus 19x plus 10. Not 110, just 10. And you absolutely want to check all of your answers because you want to make sure you're right. So then you got it factored. Let's try a couple more. Have your notes out with you. It's called slide and divide because you have to slide and divide. So I would take my 8, slide it over, multiply it by 8. Now you have x squared minus 10x minus 24. So let's factor that. X and x, I have to look for the factors of negative 24 that add to be, I'm looking for a sum to equal negative 10. Because it's negative 24, I know one's positive, one's negative. So I have negative 1 times positive 24. Nope. Negative 2 times 12. Oh, that's so close because that right there is going to be positive 10, but I'm looking for negative 10. So let's flip it. 2 times negative 12, that equals negative 10. So I know it's plus 2 minus 12. Because I slid the 8, I have to divide by the 8 and simplify my fractions. So I get x plus 2/8 is 1/4. And then x minus 12 over 8 becomes x minus 3/2 because they're both divisible by 4. Pick up the denominator because you don't want to leave it a fraction. You get 4x plus 1 and then 2x minus 3. Should you always check it? Absolutely. 4x times 2x is 8x squared. My green is my check. 4x times negative 3 is negative 12x. 1 times 2x is plus 2x. 1 times negative 3 is minus 3. 8x squared minus 10x minus 3. That's what we wanted. Your answer are the factors. So in pink, what I'm boxing, that is what your answer is. Let's try number 2. The process you're going to notice is all the exact same. Take 6, slide it over, times 6. You get x squared plus 13x minus 48. Now I factor this normally. X and x. I look at the factors of negative 48, and I'm looking for the sum to equal 13. So I have negative 1 times 48. Well, that's 47. Nope. How about negative 2 times 24? That's 22. Nope, I'm looking for 13. Negative 3 times 16. Oh, I got it. That's 13. So it has to be minus 3 plus 16. Since I multiplied by 6, I divide both the numbers by 6. If someone makes a mistake in slide and divide, it's because they forget to divide. So you get x minus 1/2 times x plus, they're both divisible by 2, 8/3. Kick up the denominator, and you get 2x minus 1 times 3x plus 8. And there is your answer. Now, there is a ton of these questions that we could do. We could keep doing them over and over and over again, but I want to go to a specific one. Let's go to number 9. These are all the exact same. So let's go to number 9. In number 9, notice that the first term is negative. It is very important. If your first term is negative, you must factor out the negative 1. You must do that first. So when I factor out the negative 1, that's the same thing as saying that's your GCF, and you get positive 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. Now we're going to do the inside by slide and divide. But don't forget, every step along the way, that negative 1 has to come down. So I'm still going to slide it over and multiply by 2. So I have negative 1 times x squared minus 5x minus 24. Factor this normally. So I know I'm going to have negative 1. My two factors, it's going to be x and x. So I'm going to look at my factors of negative 24 that sum to equal negative 5. So that means my bigger number is going to have to be negative. So when they add together, I get negative 5. So negative 1 times 24, nope. 2 times negative 12, well, that gives me negative 8. 3 times negative 8, oh, that's negative 5. That's it. That's not. So I have x plus 3 and x minus 8. Because I multiplied by 2, don't forget, you have to divide by 2. Call the name, slide, and divide. So you get negative 1 times 2x plus 3 times, oh, gotta simplify. We can leave that as 2x plus 3 because that's simplified. And you could say, oh, this is x minus 4. There's nothing to kick up because if you kick up the 1, it stays. And then your answer. Notice again that you factored out the negative 1, and the negative 1 carried the whole way down. You would absolutely have to factor out that negative 1. So that's your slide and divide. Remember, you slide it, you divide it, simplify your fractions, kick up the bottom. And remember, if your first term's negative, don't forget to factor out the negative.